Hi, it's Taylor T. Carlson, and I'm back with another video for you. Today we're going to be looking at another one of the Canon Star Wars Marvel comics. I just did my review for the Darth Vader Volume 1 series about a week ago, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Kanan series. This series, of course, revolving around the backstory of one of the heroes from the Star Wars Rebels animated series. That show ran for 4 seasons, and of course the character of Kanan definitely got people interested, and a lot of the fans were wondering, where did this guy come from? What did he go through? And this series sets out to answer a lot of those questions. The series ran from 2015 to 2016, covering 12 issues. The first 6 issues form the first arc, which is called The Last Padawan, and the 7th through 12th issues form the second and final arc, which is called First Blood. The usual warning for any one of these reviews, there will be spoilers here, so if you haven't read this comic or you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels yet, I would come back and watch this review after you have experienced those for yourself. The majority of the Kanan comic is actually set in flashback, with 2 separate flashback arcs. The first arc revolves around a later story revolving around Order 66 being launched, and Kanan, as a young Padawan, then known as Caleb Dune, on the run, at which time he gets mixed up with smugglers and has to do everything that he can to survive in a galaxy where the Jedi are being hunted down. The second arc, First Blood, is actually set farther back and takes us back to Kanan's life as a young boy training in the Jedi Temple and eventually becoming a Padawan learner to one of the more senior Jedi Masters and setting out on his first set of missions. Although Kanan is definitely the main character here, you will see appearances from a lot of other favorites, including Mace Windu, Yoda, General Grievous, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and several others. Although the emphasis, of course, remains on the Kanan story, and rightfully so. The 12 issues are linked by a narrative that's set in the present day, which in this case is sometime during the first season of Star Wars Rebels, after Ezra Bridger has joined their crew, but also prior to the season finale, because we do see the Grand Inquisitor alive and well here. You do not have to have a prior knowledge of the Star Wars Rebels series in order to enjoy this series. Overall, I'm actually pretty satisfied with how this comic turned out. Getting to learn about Kanan's backstory back when he was still Caleb Dune is definitely an interesting story to explore. It's also interesting to get another angle on how the galaxy was changed after Order 66 and what the few surviving Jedi out there had to go through. Especially in his case, he's a Padawan with no master, left to a world where the Empire is hunting down and killing all the survivors. We really only see the familiar Star Wars Rebels crew during that present timeline, at which point they're going to collect supplies for some of the refugees on Lothal, which is like the main world that we explore on Star Wars Rebels, where they have to fight back against the Empire, who's based themselves there. And of course, in true Star Wars fashion, absolutely nothing goes right. And in that present storyline, we see Kanan ending up going off on his own as part of the mission, getting injured, getting put in a bacta-tank following his wounds, and the rest of the crew being pinned down by Imperial stormtroopers, at which point they have to fight back and hope Kanan will be recovered well enough in order to get out of the tank and do battle, saving the day. Of course, everything, for the most part, wraps up okay, which is kind of to be expected with this kind of story. After all, he has to be alive to be in the Star Wars Rebels series. The artwork and the writing in this comic are top-notch, and there's a few unexpected surprises and cameos throughout, and I think most fans of the Star Wars universe will be pretty excited about this one. Like I said, you don't have to have prior knowledge of Star Wars Rebels, since most of those main characters really only appear in the present portion of the story anyway, and the majority of this is flashback. The only real complaint I have here is that they introduced a few too many side characters in terms of like alien politicians and separatist generals and people like that. I mean, there were 2 green-skinned aliens in the first arc that I kept getting mixed up, for example. There's just a few too many side characters like that, but it's really a minor complaint. This is actually a very good comic, and if you're a fan of Kanan and Star Wars Rebels and you want to see what he was up to before that happened, this is definitely a story worth reading. Have you had a chance to read Marvel's Kanan comic? Were you a fan? Were you not a fan? Is it something you haven't read but you want to check it out now? Comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm Taylor T. Carlson, and I will see you in my next Star Wars comic review.